The sun was sinking low in the sky, painting streaks of orange and purple across the horizon. The suburban road stretched endlessly, shimmering with heat that rose from the cracked asphalt. Malik Johnson, a 14-year-old boy with a basketball slung over his shoulder, trudged along the sidewalk, sweat dripping down his forehead. His sneakers were worn out, the soles nearly separating, but he didn't mind. Basketball practice had been good, and the long walk home was just part of his daily routine. Malik lived in the kind of neighborhood most people didn't bother noticing. Cluster of run-down apartments with peeling paint, broken mailboxes, and kids who grew up learning to be tough before they learned how to ride a bike. His mother, a hard-working woman who juggled 2 jobs, always told him, "Don't let the world tell you who you are, Malik. You decide that yourself." Those words echoed in his mind every day, pushing him to dream of something greater, becoming an engineer, building things that lasted, things that mattered. As he walked, Malik spotted something unusual up ahead. A sleek black Mercedes-Benz was pulled over to the side of the road, its hazard lights blinking. Beside it, a tall, well-dressed man in a navy suit paced back and forth, frustration clear on his face. The hood was down, but the rear tire sagged flat against the ground. The man muttered something under his breath, glancing at his phone though debating whether to call for help. Malik slowed down, curiosity stirring in his chest. Cars like that didn't usually stop in this part of town. The man crouched, tugging at the lug nuts with a tire iron, but his movements were clumsy. He wasn't getting anywhere. The wrench slipped, and he swore loudly, tossing it onto the ground. Malik bit his lip. He could just keep walking. It wasn't his problem. But his mother's voice rang in his head again. "If you see someone struggling, and you know you can help, don't walk away. That's what separates good men from selfish ones." Taking a deep breath, Malik stepped closer. Excuse me, sir?" His voice cracked slightly. "You need some help with that tire?" The man turned sharply, startled. His eyes landed on Malik, sweaty from practice, wearing a faded t-shirt, carrying a basketball. For a moment, suspicion clouded his expression. He clutched his phone a little tighter. Malik noticed the hesitation and quickly added, "I know how to change a tire. My uncle showed me." "You're gonna hurt your hand if you keep doing it like that." The man raised an eyebrow, clearly doubtful. "You? Change a tire?" Malik shrugged, stepping closer. "Yes, sir. I've done it before. You just need the jack in the right place, and it'll go faster." There was a pause. The man studied him carefully, perhaps weighing the risk. Finally, with a reluctant sigh, he gestured toward the car. "All right. Show me what you've got, kid." Malik set his basketball gently on the grass and knelt by the car. He found the jack in the trunk, positioned it properly beneath the car frame, and began cranking. The car lifted slowly, steady and sure. He loosened the lug nuts with practiced turns, his small hands moving quickly. Within minutes, he had the flat tire off and the spare in place. Sweat dripped down his forehead, but he worked with quiet determination, not looking for praise, just focused on the task. The man watched, astonished. This boy wasn't just fumbling his way through. He actually knew what he was doing. When Malik tightened the last lug nut and lowered the car back onto the ground, he stood up and dusted off his hands. "There you go, sir. Good as new. You should get the real tire fixed soon, though. Spares don't last forever." The man blinked, still processing what had just happened. He reached into his wallet and pulled out a crisp $100 bill, holding it out. "Here, for your time." Malik's eyes widened, but then he shook his head firmly. "No, sir. I don't need money. Just wanted to help." The man frowned. "Everyone needs money." Malik smiled faintly, repeating his mother's words. "My mom says we should help people if we can. That's enough for me." For the first time that evening, the man's stern expression softened. He slipped the bill back into his wallet, staring at Malik with new respect. "What's your name, kid?" Malik. Malik Johnson. Well, Malik Johnson, the man said, extending his hand. I'm Charles Thompson. Malik shook his hand, his grip surprisingly firm for a boy his age. Where do you live? I'll give you a ride, Mr. Thompson offered. Malik hesitated, then nodded. Thanks. My apartment's about 2 miles down this road. As they drove, Malik looked around the luxurious car interior, smooth leather seats, glowing dashboard, the faint smell of cologne and polish. It was a world completely different from the cracked bus seats and crowded streets he was used to. Mr. Thompson glanced at him. So, Malik, you always help strangers on the road? Malik chuckled softly. Not always, but I know what it's like to need help and not have anyone around. Something about that answer stayed with Mr. Thompson. He studied the boy's profile, the earnestness in his voice, the humility in his eyes. Malik wasn't looking for anything in return. He just cared. When they pulled up to a rundown apartment complex, Malik pointed. That's me. Building C. Mr. Thompson looked at the crumbling steps, the flickering hallway light, and the thin curtains fluttering in the window. He glanced back at Malik, who was gathering his basketball and bag. You're a good kid, Malik, he said quietly. Malik grinned. Thanks for the ride, sir, and good luck with the tire. As Malik walked toward his building, bouncing his basketball lightly, Mr. Thompson sat in the car for a long moment, staring after him. Something stirred inside him, something he hadn't felt in years. This boy, with nothing to his name but kindness and determination, had left an impression, far deeper than any business meeting or deal ever could. And Mr. Thompson knew. This encounter was only the beginning. The next morning, Malik woke up to the sound of his alarm clock buzzing. The small, battered clock had lost one of its plastic legs, so it leaned awkwardly on his nightstand, but it still rang on time every morning at 6:30. Malik rubbed his eyes, stretched, and glanced across the room. His mom, Denise Johnson, was already gone for her early shift at the diner. She always left him a note before she went. He found it taped to the fridge in her neat handwriting. Good morning, Malik. There's oatmeal on the stove. Do your homework before practice today. Love you, Mom. Malik smiled faintly as he grabbed a bowl. His mom was always working, waitressing at the diner in the mornings and cleaning offices at night. She never complained, but Malik could see the weariness in her eyes. She wanted better for him, and he was determined to give her that someday. Still, as he ate, his mind wandered back to the black Mercedes and the man in the suit, Mr. Thompson. He wondered if the man had made it to wherever he was going on time. He also wondered why Mr. Thompson had looked so shocked when Malik refused the money. For Malik, it wasn't even a question. His mom raised him to help people, not sell kindness. But maybe people like Mr. Thompson weren't used to that. Meanwhile, across town, in a glass-walled penthouse overlooking the city, Charles Thompson sat at his marble kitchen island, sipping black coffee. His assistant rattled off his schedule. Board meeting at 10, investor lunch at 12:30, charity gala in the evening, but Charles wasn't listening. His mind kept drifting back to the boy. Malik. He couldn't shake the image of the kid's hands tightening those lug nuts with calm confidence, or the way he had stood tall and said, I don't need money, sir. It was rare to meet someone so genuine, rarer still in a boy that young. Charles had made his fortune through real estate and investments. He had everything, cars, houses, power. But he couldn't remember the last time someone did something for him without expecting something in return. That boy was different. At lunch, while his colleagues debated market trends, Charles barely spoke. By evening, while champagne glasses clinked and laughter filled the charity gala, he found himself staring at the crowd of wealthy socialites and feeling a hollow ache. They were all smiling, but it was a world of transactions, every favor bought, every relationship measured. Malik's refusal of the $100 bill echoed in his mind louder than the chatter around him. When he returned home, Charles made a decision. He pulled out his laptop, hired a private driver for the morning, and told himself he was going to find Malik Johnson. The next day after school, Malik was sitting on the cracked steps outside his apartment, tying his sneakers before heading to the basketball courts. A sleek black sedan rolled up, and for a moment, Malik thought he was seeing things. The window rolled down. "Need a ride to practice?" It was Mr. Thompson. Malik blinked. Hi, sir. What are you doing here?" Charles smiled faintly. "I came to see you. May I talk to your mom?" Malik froze. His mom? Why would a millionaire want to talk to his mom? His first instinct was caution. "She's not home yet. She works evenings." Charles nodded. "Then maybe I can wait, or maybe you and I can talk first. I owe you more than just a ride." Malik hesitated, then slowly walked over. "I told you, sir, I don't need money." "I know," Charles said softly. "And that's exactly why I'm here." Later that night, when Denise returned home from her second job, she was stunned to find a man in an expensive suit sitting politely. In her tiny living room, sipping sweet tea from a chipped mug Malik had offered, Denise narrowed her eyes. "Who exactly are you?" Charles stood and introduced himself. "Charles Thompson. Your son helped me yesterday when I was stranded. Changed my tire. Saved me a lot of trouble." Denise looked at Malik, who nodded. "It's true, Mom. He couldn't get it off, so I helped." Denise gave Malik a look that said they'd talk later about letting strangers into the house, but she turned back to Charles. "I appreciate you coming all the way here to say thank you. That's kind." Charles hesitated, then cleared his throat. "Actually, I didn't just come to say thank you. I came because I was impressed by your son. He refused money. He didn't want anything in return. That says a lot about how you raised him." Denise softened slightly. "He's a good boy. Tries to help where he can." Charles nodded. "Yes, and I think he deserves an opportunity. You see, Malik told me. He wants to be an engineer. That's no small dream. College, preparation. It all takes resources, and I want to help provide that." Denise froze. "Excuse me?" "I want to cover Malik's education," Charles said simply. "Tutoring, training, college tuition, whatever he needs to pursue his dream." The room went silent. Malik's mouth dropped open. "What? Sir, you can't. I mean, why?" Charles looked at him steadily. "Because you reminded me of something I'd forgotten. That integrity matters more than money. You helped me when you didn't have to. You refused payment. That tells me you're someone worth investing in." Denise shook her head in disbelief. "Mr. Thompson, that's incredibly generous, but I don't know if we can accept that. It feels too much." Charles smiled gently. "It's not charity. It's an investment in someone I believe in. Your son has potential. I have the means to help. Why shouldn't I?" Tears welled in Denise's eyes. She had spent years worrying how she would ever afford college for Malik, how she would give him the future he deserved. And now, here was a man offering to lift that burden. Malik sat stunned, his heart pounding. He had dreamed of becoming an engineer, but it had always seemed so far away, almost impossible. Now, for the first time, it felt real. "Sir," Malik whispered, "I don't know what to say." "Say you'll work hard," Charles said firmly. "That's all I ask." Malik nodded, his throat tight. "I will, I promise." Charles stood, buttoned his suit jacket, and extended his hand to Denise. "Then we have an agreement?" Denise hesitated only a moment before shaking his hand, her voice trembling. "We do. Thank you, Mr. Thompson. You have no idea what this means." Charles glanced at Malik one last time. "You've got a bright future ahead, kid. Don't waste it." As he left the apartment that night, Malik watched the car disappear down the street, his chest burning with a mix of shock, gratitude, and determination. For the first time in his life, he felt the impossible was within reach, and he vowed silently he wouldn't let this chance slip away. The weeks that followed Charles Thompson's visit felt like a dream to Malik. One moment, he was just another kid from a rundown apartment complex, hustling between school and basketball practice. The next, he found himself sitting in a polished office with wide glass windows overlooking the city skyline. "This is where I work," Charles said, gesturing around the modern office. The leather chairs gleamed, the air smelled faintly of fresh coffee and cologne, and framed photos of tall skyscrapers lined the walls. "Every one of those buildings out there," Charles pointed, "represents years of work, sacrifice, and people who took chances on me when I was young. Now it's my turn to take a chance on you." Malik sat stiffly in his chair, his sneakers squeaking against the floor tiles. He was wearing the best clothes he owned, clean jeans, a collared shirt. His mom had ironed carefully, and his favorite but slightly scuffed sneakers. His wide eyes darted around the room, drinking in the unfamiliar luxury. "You don't have to be nervous," Charles chuckled, watching him. "This isn't a test." Malik swallowed hard. "It feels like one, sir." Charles leaned forward. "Then let's start with something simple. Tell me what you dream about. Not just what you want to be, but why." Malik hesitated, staring at his hands. Finally, he spoke softly. "I want to be an engineer because I want to build things that last. Where we live, everything's broken. The streetlights don't work. The ceiling leaks in our apartment. The basketball court has cracks so big, you trip if you don't watch your feet. I want to fix things like that. Build things people can actually depend on. Things that won't fall apart." Charles studied him quietly, his chest tightening at the boy's sincerity. This wasn't a child chasing fame or money. This was someone who wanted to build a better world. "That," Charles said firmly, "is a good reason." From that day on, Charles made Malik part of his weekly routine. Twice a week, a car picked Malik up after school and brought him to Charles's office, or sometimes to a library where Charles introduced him to tutors in math and science. At first, Malik struggled. Advanced algebra looked like another language, and he often left sessions frustrated, his pencil tapping against the desk. But every time he wanted to quit, Charles reminded him, "Discipline beats talent, Malik. You have the heart. Now build the skill." Charles didn't just hire tutors, he also spent time with Malik himself. They'd walk through construction, sites of new skyscrapers his company was building. He'd point at steel beams rising into the sky and say, "See that? Someone dreamed it, someone designed it, and someone built it. One day, that could be you." Malik's eyes would light up. For the first time, he could imagine it, himself in a hard hat, blueprints in hand, creating something real. But life wasn't suddenly easy. Back in Malik's neighborhood, whispers started. "Why's that fancy car always picking you up?" One kid sneered at the basketball court. "You think you're better than us now?" Malik shook his head. "It's not like that." But the looks lingered and some friends pulled away. Even at home, Malik could see the stress in his mom's face. She was grateful, of course, but worried too. People don't just give something for nothing, Malik, Denise said one night, sitting at their small kitchen table. "I'm thankful for what Mr. Thompson is doing, but you be careful. Sometimes the world offers you a gift with strings attached." Malik nodded. "I know, Mom, but I trust him. He believes in me." Denise sighed, brushing his cheek. "Then make sure you don't let him, or yourself, down." Months turned into a year. Malik's grades, once average, began to climb. He discovered he had a knack for geometry, for understanding how shapes and structures worked. His science teacher, impressed with his progress, entered him into a regional science fair. Malik spent weeks designing a model of an eco-friendly bridge made from recycled materials. His apartment became a workshop. Popsicle sticks, glue, cardboard, and notebooks scattered everywhere. Denise grumbled about the mess but secretly admired the passion in her son's eyes. On the day of the fair, Malik stood nervously beside his project while rows of other students displayed theirs. Some had polished models with expensive equipment, but Malik's bridge, though humble, was strong and innovative. When the judges stopped at his table, he explained with confidence, "This design is cheap to build, but it's durable and environmentally friendly. Communities like mine could use something like this without spending millions." By the end of the day, Malik had won first place. His mom cried in the audience, clapping until her hands were sore. Charles shook his hand firmly afterward, pride shining in his eyes. "You didn't just win, Malik," Charles said. "You proved what I already knew. You have what it takes, but life has a way of testing those who rise." One evening, as Malik walked home alone after studying late at the library, he was stopped by two older boys from his neighborhood. "So you're the genius now, huh?" one sneered. "Little Mr. Fancy Future Engineer." "I'm just studying," Malik said cautiously. The other shoved him. "You think you're better than us? Riding around with rich folks like you're special?" Malik's chest tightened. He wanted to fight back, to shout, but his mom's voice echoed in his head. "Don't let anger decide who you are." "I don't think I'm better," Malik said calmly. "I just think I can do better. For all of us." For a moment, the boys just stared at him. Then, with a muttered curse, they walked away, leaving Malik shaken but unbroken. That night, he told Charles what happened. Charles listened carefully, then said, "You'll always face people who don't understand your path. Some will envy it. Some will resent it. But you can't let that stop you. You're walking a road they can't see yet." Malik nodded slowly, his resolve hardening. A year later, Malik stood at another milestone. His science fair win had earned him recognition, and one of the judges, an engineering professor at the state university, had written a letter recommending Malik for a special summer program for gifted students. When Charles handed Malik the letter, his hands shook as he read it. They want me at the university?" Charles smiled. "Yes, and I'll cover every expense. This is your chance to step into the world you've been dreaming of." Malik's throat tightened. He thought of the broken basketball courts, the leaking ceiling, the doubts of his neighbors. And then he thought of his mom, working late shifts to keep food on the table. "Sir," Malik whispered, tears in his eyes, "I won't waste this. I promise." Charles placed a hand on his shoulder. "I know you won't. That's why I chose you." That summer, Malik walked the halls of the university campus, surrounded by students who were older, sharper, and more privileged. At first, he felt out of place. But when he presented his bridge design again, this time refined with real engineering principles, the professors applauded. For the first time, Malik felt like he truly belonged. And Charles, watching from the back of the lecture hall, knew his decision had been right. Helping Malik wasn't just charity, it was witnessing the birth of greatness. The years passed like chapters in a book, each one written with sweat, sacrifice, and determination. Malik was no longer the shy 14-year-old who walked home from basketball practice that day. By the time he turned 18, he stood taller, his shoulders stronger, his voice firmer. He carried himself with quiet confidence, the kind that came not from privilege but from perseverance. College was never just a dream anymore. It was his reality. The first day he stepped onto the university campus as a full-time student, his mother cried. Denise clutched his arm, looking up at the towering brick buildings, the students hurrying with backpacks slung over their shoulders. "My baby," she whispered, tears streaming down her cheeks. "Look at you. You made it." Malik hugged her tightly. "We made it, Mom. You worked 2 jobs to keep me going. Mr. Thompson believed in me. I couldn't have done this alone. She smiled through her tears. Still, you're the one walking through those doors. Don't forget how far you've come. The Weight of Expectations College was no fairy tale. Malik quickly discovered that the workload was brutal. Late nights stretched into dawn as he pored over textbooks, wrestling with calculus, physics, and design software. There were moments when self-doubt crept in, when he wondered if he really belonged among students who had grown up with tutors, private schools, and parents who were professors themselves, but every time doubt threatened to drown him, he remembered his promise to Charles. "I won't waste this." Charles checked in often. Sometimes they met for dinner, where Charles listened more than he spoke, occasionally giving advice. Other times he sent short texts. "Proud of you. Keep going." Those simple words fueled Malik more than he admitted. And at home, Denise continued to cheer him on. Every time Malik visited, she cooked his favorite meal, fried chicken with collard greens, and reminded him, "Don't just chase success, chase purpose. A mentor's decline, but not all chapters are filled with triumph." During Malik's second year, he noticed Charles seemed tired. His once sharp stride had slowed. His face carried a weariness Malik had never seen. One evening, over dinner, Charles excused himself to cough into a napkin, and Malik noticed the faint stain of blood. "Mr. Thompson?" Malik asked, alarmed. Charles waved it off. "Don't worry about me. Focus on your studies." But Malik couldn't ignore it. Eventually, Charles confessed. "I've been diagnosed with cancer, early stages, but it's a fight ahead." The news hit Malik like a blow. This man, his mentor, his second father, was suddenly mortal, fragile. "I'll be here for you, sir," Malik said firmly. "The way you were there for me." Charles smiled weakly. "That's kind, Malik, but promise me one thing. No matter what happens, you finish your education. That's how you honor me." Malik nodded, swallowing hard. "I promise." The breakthrough fueled. By that promise, Malik threw himself into his studies. He joined engineering clubs, led group projects, and even landed an internship at a prestigious firm. There, he impressed his supervisors with innovative designs for affordable housing, an idea rooted in his own upbringing. "Your work shows heart," one professor told him. "You're not just solving problems, you're solving the right problems." By his final year, Malik was chosen to lead a senior project, designing a sustainable community center that could withstand harsh weather while remaining affordable for low-income neighborhoods. The project was ambitious. He spent countless nights in the lab, fueled by coffee and determination. His mom called to remind him to rest, and Charles, though now undergoing chemotherapy, sent him encouraging notes. Finally, after months of work, Malik presented the finished, model to a packed auditorium. His voice trembled at first, but as he explained the design, solar panels, rainwater collection, durable recycled materials, his passion burned through. "This isn't just a building," Malik concluded. "It's hope. It's a place where kids like me can dream bigger, where families can gather without worrying about leaky roofs or unsafe walls. It's proof that we can build better, even when resources are scarce." The room erupted in applause. Professors praised his innovation. His peers clapped him on the back, and in the front row, his mother wept openly, while Charles, frail but smiling, clapped with trembling hands. Graduation Day. The morning of Malik's graduation dawned bright and clear. The university courtyard buzzed with excitement as students in gowns and caps lined up. Families gathered with cameras and balloons, their cheers filling the air. Malik adjusted his cap nervously, scanning the crowd. He spotted his mom, her smile, radiant, waving wildly. Beside her sat Charles in a wheelchair, thinner than before but still dignified, his eyes shining with pride. When Malik's name was called, he walked across the stage to thunderous applause. He shook the dean's hand, holding his diploma high. But as he looked into the crowd, his gaze locked on Charles. For a moment, it felt like time froze. The memory of a flat tire on a lonely road, the choice to help, the refusal of money, the offer of opportunity. It had all led to this moment. Malik touched his heart, then pointed toward Charles, a silent message. "This is for you." Charles's eyes glistened as he mouthed back, "Well done." The full circle months later, Malik began his first job as a junior engineer at a respected firm. But he didn't stop there. Inspired by his roots, he also started a nonprofit organization dedicated to building safe, affordable housing in underserved neighborhoods. The first project? Renovating the basketball court in his old neighborhood, the same cracked court he had once tripped on as a boy. Now it gleamed with fresh pavement, sturdy hoops, and bright lights. Kids cheered as they played late into the evening, their laughter filling the air. Denise stood beside her son, tears streaming down her face. "You did it, Malik. You're changing lives." Malik smiled softly. "Just like you always told me to." And though Charles was no longer alive to see it, he had passed peacefully a few months after Malik's graduation, his legacy lived on. At the dedication ceremony for the new court, Malik spoke. "I once helped a man with a flat tire. I thought it was just a small act of kindness. But that moment changed my life forever. He believed in me when no one else did. Today, everything I've built is proof that kindness, no matter how small, can transform the world." The crowd erupted in applause. Malik looked up at the sky, imagining Charles watching. He whispered quietly, "Thank you, sir. I'll keep building. I'll keep believing." And as the sun set over the court, the boy who once walked home with worn-out sneakers had become a man who built bridges, not just of steel and concrete, but of hope, opportunity, and love.